Hey Aquarius, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. The first card that I'm seeing out is the High Priestess and also the Two of Swords. The High Priestess highlights the importance. Okay. I'm seeing a bit of a quandary here. The High Priestess will highlight an importance of us like trusting our intuition and utilizing that and sort of connecting with our higher self and the deeper sense of wisdom that we know like when making a choice. But I'm also seeing the Devil here too. And so this can feel sort of like two roads are in front of you and you're being faced with something where it's like, do I take the higher road or do I maybe take the lower road? And the lower road may be feeling a bit easier to do. I get the vibe of, I'm hearing something about it being less of a commitment, but I think long term this is something that you may be like digging yourself in a little bit of a hole. Let's see further and see. It feels like you can choose to maybe make a decision that you could see as being more correct or like better long term versus maybe something that would be easier now, but it could get you kind of tied down to something that sooner or later you're gonna have to liberate yourself from it anyway. So maybe it's also about like what you're ready for too. Oh, okay. I'm seeing the Six of Wands after the Devil, and I'm also seeing the Six of Swords too. So this means whatever this challenge had been, and it definitely being like a big one, because the Devil is a really big deal. The Devil is something that we're utilizing that it's not like some scary thing that you're like, obviously this is bad for me and I'm gonna do it anyway. I mean, sometimes we can see it be like that eventually, but like when we first get involved in the energy of the Devil, like archetypally speaking within the tarot, it's something that we're using in order to try to balance something out. It's like our solution for correcting something, but rather than it being a terminal solution, it usually ends up like creating more of an issue because we're like buying into the illusion of whatever that is. And so it actually ends up creating a destruction when at first we may have thought that it was a band-aid of some sort, and it may immediately be like that, but then long term it's like not getting to the core issue. And so it's always going to be something that can potentially cover things surface level, and depending on like how severe of a thing it is or how much it's impacting you, it can actually like make the problem worse, because it's like rather than moving towards the truth or towards liberation, it's taking you further in the opposite direction. And that's why it can create more of an issue for us. So it can even create like a bigger problem than was there in the first place of what you were trying to cope with anyway. But what I'm seeing with the Six of Wands and with the Six of Swords here, I'm seeing you like actually successfully like transition out of this. So whatever this was for you, it looks like making the decision to sort of like follow this higher tune that you're hearing at this point. But it was definitely your choice, for sure. I think there's also an awareness there. It can also be an instinctive feeling too that you know like not to go in a particular direction as well. It feels like one of those moments where like your higher self has been communicating with you. Your higher self has been communicating with you, and there could have been a part of you that was like resistant to hearing. I feel like I'm trapped in here. There could have been a part of you that felt like resistant to actualizing this or sort of bringing it to the front consciously for you, because I feel like it's something that like maybe you didn't want to know, or like something that you feel sad about or disappointed by. It's like something that you had a deeper knowing of, but it's like news that you didn't want to hear, like a truth that you were like, oh, I wish it was a different way, something like that. And so I'm seeing you could like continue to sort of like believe the lie of something or like face the truth here, but I'm getting it's one of those moments where it's like a hard truth to face. And so of course it would make sense why the devil would be here, because that would be like, nope, I'm not ready to face it yet, or nope, I don't want to admit it yet, or nope, I'm not ready to accept it yet. And then you go in that direction of like what takes you further into like whatever thing that is. I do feel like you got your hopes up about a situation, and there's like this part of you that I'm seeing is moving forward, but I'm still seeing you feel sad about things, or just like, it's like one of those say it ain't so moments. I'm seeing something that impacts you within your personal life. So this definitely hits you on a personal level. There's potential here for you to get roped back in, but I don't think that you want to again at this point. It's like I'm seeing this thing come back around. And being like, are you sure you want to face the facts here? So there is that temptation definitely that I'm seeing here. But I don't think that you're going to take this. Like, what I'm seeing energetically as far as where you're leaning is you being in a spot where you know that if you took this and accepted it energetically, that it would like be like, I'm seeing you see the devil for what it is. So like, you know that it would be a lie if you took this. Like, it kind of feels like the jig is up here within this. Like, I'm not seeing the devil be like having a costume on anymore, like having a mask on anymore. It's sort of like presenting itself to you and you can like see exactly what it is. So that sort of like illusion is gone now. And that doesn't mean you can't still buy into it, but it's almost like there's no tricking you here anymore. Like, I'm really seeing you be in a spot where it's like the way that this thing had power over you, it feels different now. Like, it's not like deluding you into believing something anymore. So you would be like willingly deluding yourself if you took this on at this point, because I'm seeing something just not look the same anymore, and it's almost like it's not as tempting anymore too because of that, because you know what comes with it. And it seems like it really took that like mask off moment in order for you to recognize this, in order for you to see it. Like, as I feel like you're really getting to the bottom of something very important here for you, where you're like even understanding why you had gravitated towards this in the first place, and like why it had been like appealing to you at all in the first place. I'm definitely seeing this be like, I'm hearing chilling for some of you, a difficult moment here. Like, I'm seeing it be on one hand being like, wow, I've really pulled myself out of this cycle, but then on the other hand, going through all of the other emotions that come with this, of like what this means and how, like, maybe you had thought this was going to be the solution or it's going to fix things, and now the acceptance of like, that's not going to be the thing either. So it feels like one of those moments where we feel like our hopes are so up high because we think that we found a solution or we found the thing that's going to work for us, or that's going to take care of this problem, or like we have the answer now, and then feeling like that was ripped out from underneath you. So in this moment, it's kind of like I'm not like lying to myself anymore. I'm not like caught up in the midst of this illusion where I have like this false narrative or false hope, but also the acceptance of that too, of like losing something that you even thought that this was going to be, or losing that answer that you thought this could be for you, which is also just as real too. It's all mourning, whether it was something that materialized or it was something that we thought was going to that never did. Processing your feelings and continuing to move forward is going to be important here. This means like let yourself, you're going to need like all of your emotions to basically run clear. So let yourself move like through all of them. Well, let them move through you, meaning doing whatever it is that you do in order to let this run clear emotionally, mentally. But I'm definitely seeing your guides say, move through your process energetically, but also keep continuing to move forward so you don't get stuck. Like, don't stay here, keep moving forward, especially mentally. That means like focus on what's in front of you too, rather than backwards. You may feel like it's a lot right now just because of everything that's going on. Like, I'm definitely feeling some tension, feeling stressed. Some of you, it's about feeling like it's not working with this person. Like, things feel very stressful based off of how you're feeling, and you may feel like you need to process, like, what's the best way to say this? I'm seeing somebody that you're working with, somebody that you're interacting with, and if things weren't so like high intensity, it may be something that you could participate in, because I'm seeing it be an option for you to sort of like continue moving and working with this person. But one, I'm getting things did not go how you thought it was going to go. I'm getting like such a pressing feeling of everything feeling so heavy emotionally that it's hard to even be present, like trying to even work things out or work things through with this person in some way. And I'm also seeing you feel like if you continue to work with them, there's potential for you to get sucked back into this thing, and you're gonna have to do this whole thing over again. You know what I'm saying? But this time you'd be even more aware of what you would be doing, you know, like consciously like moving back into a space, because I'm seeing something that you're aware of now that you weren't necessarily aware of before. It's like, you know, something isn't like healthy for you, and you may not have necessarily seen that before. It wasn't so clear, it wasn't so obvious, but you went through the cycle and you've now realized this. So this thing is in front of you again. So if you decided to go back into it, it's like you would knowingly go back into that. So it would be like a conscious, deliberate choice if you were to go back in. So I'm seeing that like it makes things a little bit different now, because you're like, wow, I would be actively making that choice if I decided to go back in that direction. And I feel too like, this is, how you respond to this is really going to be connected with like how you're feeling towards yourself. Because those of you that you're not in a space where you're like, where you feel like you're properly taking care of yourself or giving yourself what you need, or there's like low self-esteem, low self-worth, you may sort of find yourself moving a little bit back towards this situation potentially. But for those of you that are in a space where you're like working on your self-worth and stuff like that, I don't think you're going to go back in this direction. So it's really just going to depend on where you are. Why I'm saying that is because I'm seeing something that I feel like more than anything, this decision affects you personally in your personal life. And obviously, like the people connected with you will like low-key be affected by this. But I feel like it's more so like you with you. And so it's kind of like when we move into a situation that may be a little bit toxic, and it's like, well, it's not hurting anyone except for me and I don't care about myself. You know, like that's different than if we know it's like directly impacting somebody else that we care about. So I feel like this is really going to showcase something to you about like where you are with yourself. And for those of you that you're like, no, I'm trying to like do better for me and like treat myself better and not put myself in these situations anymore, I'm seeing you're not going to be doing the same thing that you were doing before. Like, it's not going to appeal to you, because I'm seeing you like want to do better and want to be better for you and like do what you need and be like treating yourself in that way. The reason too that this is also challenging is because sometimes too, when we go through something that feels sad or disappointing, or we're grieving and like processing that, we can like tend to go back on like unhealthy coping strategies, which it seems like this was for you in some way, or like an unhealthy situation. And so that can also potentially make this a bit more appealing. But I'm getting that like regardless, you can't take away the fact that you're now like consciously aware of something that you hadn't necessarily been seeing before. So there's like no going back in that sense. But I do get that some of you are still, some of you still may be interacting with this person. Like, I get their energy still being around a little bit, whether it be like physically or energetically. There's almost like I'm seeing you still working with their energy, whether you're actively in contact with them or not. I'm seeing too that some of you could have felt like pressured by this person to move back into this. But it seems like it would most of all be like a judgment towards yourself than anything, like a self-perception of judgment towards yourself. Meaning, I'm seeing like these two parts of you, and one part of you is like not wanting to take this on again, and then there can be another part of you that's like speaking down to you because of this. I don't know, like the best way for me to explain this, it's like this part of you that knows better, that's like, don't do it. But then you may have another part of you that's like, are you even like good enough not to do this? Or like saying things maybe about you quitting something here, or not like seeing something through, even though clearly it's like not a healthy situation. But yeah, you can have this part of you that you feel is sort of getting down on you about this. But I'm also seeing that you're moving through this too. It just feels like there's like shadow work that's happening now that you're facing. And like maybe a bit of a narrative that's being worked with right now within you that I'm getting of like self-judgment or self-criticism. But some of you, like, you're also dealing with that energy from this other person too. It's like when you try to leave a situation and someone's like, where do you think you're going? Like one of those moments. But they may actually like echo a narrative that you have between you and yourself too, which I'm seeing you like also working with this as well. Every time I'm seeing something that it may feel to you like going a step back, I'm seeing like 5 steps forward, like consistently. Every time I'm seeing something that is like stumbling a little bit, or it looks like a bit of an obstacle or a barrier of some sort, or where you're like getting slowed down, or maybe feeling like you're drifting back a little bit, then I'm seeing like a lot of progress and like pushing forward, like a lot more awareness. I'm getting that you're dealing with really heavy stuff as you're moving through this, but then I'm also seeing this part of you that's like working with yourself and like still moving forward. It's like all of these small victories that you're having that are really adding up and actually like super, like monumentally outweighing this other stuff that you may feel like gets you to take a step back at times. So I'm seeing you like actually making so much more progress than you probably realize. I'm also seeing some stuff that you have in mind as far as what you're manifesting to, like the intention space here. I'm seeing two things here. One, intuitively, you could have felt like what you were doing was going to be the thing, but I'm getting like even further behind that intuition. I'm seeing you almost like knew what was going on. So even though you are like everything that you're feeling is real and you're like really experiencing this and it is sad and it is upsetting or it is disappointing or anything else that you want to assign to this that you're experiencing right now, I'm seeing also the High Priestess here, which feels like there's this part of you that's like very far back behind this, watching this, almost being like, I had a feeling that this was gonna happen. And like in retrospect, I feel like you're going to be able to pick out these moments where it's like, that was a red flag, or that was a hint that that was going on, or that was me ignoring what my intuition was telling me within this situation that led to these things happening. That was me ignoring myself, or like having that feeling and then saying, oh, like writing it off to something else. So I'm getting this is definitely creating a stronger bond and like recognition of the bond between you and your higher self, even if this is one of those lessons where it's like it was painful moving through this. It does feel painful as you move through. I'm seeing that there's a decision that needs to be made about what you want to do personally on a personal level, having to do with you like potentially continuing to work on things or like work things out with this person. But I'm also getting this vibe of having the Three of Pentacles and having the Devil here, it seems like such a soiled situation and something that will end up sort of trapping you in it, and you're going to have to liberate yourself from it again. And you just needing to decide. And I'm seeing this part of you that's very connected with you and what you need and what's resonating with you and what's not resonating with you on a deeper level, saying like, no, I don't want to go. Like, see how it's like this thing is coming through, being like, are you tempted? Do you want to take the offer? And there's this part of you that's like, whatever this is that's being handed to you, you turning away from this and being like, no, I don't want it. But having Five of Swords here, you can feel pressure from this person to not listen to yourself and to go back into it. And this can also be pressure that you're feeling from yourself too, like an internal dialogue that that may be like oppressive in some way, is the feeling of this. But then I'm seeing the Six of Wands. And so I'm seeing that you're going to overcome this. Like, I'm seeing you come out on the other side of it. And I'm seeing like it's still not like I'm seeing you liberate yourself from this. And you get extricated. But then even though I'm seeing the Six of Wands, which is like, wow, you made it outside of this and you like transcended the loop essentially, I'm still seeing you, things still feel very heavy here. And that's where your guides are saying like this needs to be filtered through until it runs clear. So like emotionally and energetically for you, this means you like dealing with everything that you need to in order to, so you can move forward with this. So this is like, you need to like accept how you feel, acknowledge how you feel, validate how you feel, do everything that's connected with this. Like this is also about facing fears, coming to terms with things. It's like all of the hard stuff that needs to be done. Having Temperance here says take your time as you do this. Like it's not going to be it takes one night to move through all of this. Like it's going to be a bit of a process. Sometimes you'll feel better, sometimes you won't feel better. Some days will be great, some hours will be horrible. Progress isn't linear, so it's like honoring that whole aspect of your process here with Temperance and knowing that you will get through it. It's just going to take a little bit of, going to take the time that it takes. And then Six of Swords shows you like fully moving on from this, where it's like not so much of a thing anymore. And I'm seeing too that like having this little Page of Pentacles here and us ending with the Magician over here, it feels like something that's going to be helpful for you is like thinking about what you're trying to do now and like facing facing forward and being like, what do I have to look forward to? Like, what am I trying to create now? So it feels like mentally shifting into like, what do I want to bring into my life now, and what can I work towards, or what can I focus on right now? Because Mercury is like your mental energy. So where are you putting that, and putting it on things where you're like, I'm trying to create this, or I'm trying to manifest, or have this materialize, or I want to get involved in this, or like mentally I can engage in that. And I'm seeing your guides say, focus on things that feel exciting to you, or things that feel motivating to you, or things that feel engaging to you, where you feel like you can connect to these things. Because you may be feeling like the only time that you're connecting now is connecting with these heavy emotions that may feel very unpleasant, that can then encourage us to disconnect or to numb ourselves. So try to focus on things that feel like good to connect to, or happy to connect to, or joyful, or you feel passionate about it, even if it's like for a minute, you know, even if it's just like, I may color this page in the coloring book and that just gives me 5 minutes of peace, like anything to sort of move in that direction. Okay, so I'm looking at Sagittarius, I'm looking at Mercury, I was seeing Capricorn, the moon. Yeah. All right, my friends, we're going to leave the reading here. I'd like to thank everybody for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.